Merry Christmas, guys. Welcome, Frank. American Leisure Pools. Welcome. Honestly, man, I don't think there is a connection. I don't really think that's true. Um, there's been some really weak evidence shown that before you see a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot, there's orbs around. But I've never really seen anything definitive that would really give that any backbone. It's the same thing that they say that, oh, Sasquatch or aliens. So you always see lights in the sky, that sort of thing, before you see a Sasquatch. Again, I think it's bullshit. So I think it's I think it's bull. I don't really buy into that whole theory, honestly. Thanks for the question, though. I think Sasquatch, like any other creature, is just out there surviving. So I did a piece on this under the Ramblings of a Madman section. Basically, I think that Sasquatch could consider humans as a food source given the opportunity. I don't think that makes them evil. I just think it makes them opportunistic. So I would say that I think that there are probably some Sasquatch that are very docile and nice, if you want to put it that way. And there are some Sasquatch that are aggressive and are feeding their primal instincts. So that would be considered bad or evil. But as a matter of fact, I don't really think it's either one. I just think it's them following the nature of things. There's no reason to think that Sasquatch wouldn't consider humans as a food source. Uh, the only way they can survive is to eat protein. And to them, what's the difference between us and a deer? I know a lot of people subscribe to the theory that there is supernatural powers. In fact, I listened to a book on tape, um, and you have to forgive me. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it had something to do with Yellowstone Sasquatch stories, and it was excellent. I mean, just to hear the stories about Sasquatch that come out of Yellowstone National Park are incredible. But one of the last stories talks about how this man had sort of over or underestimated the deadliness of being in Yellowstone as a novice by himself, and he was just trying to get out. And as he's like sort of hobbling, on this path to get back to his car, he was miles in, by the way. There's like this fog, this mist that surrounds him, and as he kind of faces it, he can tell there's a creature amongst the mist, and the creature like sort of jumps out and kind of dives for his face, and he hits it with these like 2 cans of bear mace, and it backs off and goes back, and as it backs off, the mist goes with it, and then he's able to make it to his car, and he's able to get back to civilization. It's an excellent book on tape. Now, do I buy that Sasquatch are supernatural? Well, I've never physically encountered one, so I guess I have to say, well, any opinion I have on that is probably mildly educated. I personally would like to think no. I think that they're just a primate, an undocumented primate. But that being said, I've heard some stories. I've heard stories about tracking a Sasquatch in the snow, and then all of a sudden the footprints just stop. So, if that's true, then explain that. Explain how a Sasquatch is just walking through the snow in the middle of a field, and then the footprints just stop. You can't explain that. So, you might be right. Maybe there is something supernatural behind these creatures. I don't know. well, Washington State or Oregon is the perfect place to see one of these creatures if they are migrating south from Alberta, British Columbia, that sort of thing. And to me, that follows along with the supernatural conversation. No, I don't think that there's supernatural abilities involved. If that were the case, then why are you only seeing them um, in certain areas? Why wouldn't they? I don't know. Let's just open the book. Why wouldn't they be like, flying around or just doing supernatural stuff? But you typically see them in these wooded areas. It seems like they're a little limited in abilities to be supernatural. Yeah, 9 to 10 foot tall is about where they seem to fall. There have been some other discussions about 12 foot tall. Those discussions to me seem maybe a little far fetched, but I think 9 to 10 foot is where we are. Now I'm from Florida, so skunk apes are like 6, 7 foot tall. They're not that big, you know. Some of them have been recorded as far as 8, but when you get into the Sierra Nevada or the mountains of Alberta, then that's when you encounter the larger Sasquatch. Oh, humanity, if you want the truth, I know. Yeah, okay. I mean, I don't disagree with that. Sorry, I'm a little new to this live chat. Um, Thank you, Mister. Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. I mean, I think that they are possibly sort of. I don't know if I'd go as far as the ancient, but yeah, an older race of creature, some human DNA, some other primate DNA, maybe. It's hard to say exactly. What I don't buy is that they are fallen angels or Nephilim, that sort of thing. I don't buy into that sort of thing. Yeah, I buy that. I mean, I'll tell you what. I'm not a survivalist or a nature person necessarily. I mean, I admit to that. I'm more of an armchair researcher, but the times that I have been in the woods, um, we walk a lot in the Ocala National Forest area, and there are documented cases, photographic evidence of creatures in the Ocala National Forest. So what I've noticed is that when you quiet yourself and just walk and just sort of become part of the surrounding area, you will not only experience things, you'll feel things, you'll see things, you'll hear things, um, but you'll only seem to experience as much as they want you to, if that makes sense. I mean, we've seen some stuff out there, and we've heard some things, but it's only ever just so much, you know. And we did manage to get a footprint though from a Sasquatch off of one of the local trailheads. That was pretty cool. We were just on a nature walk, and boom, I looked down and there's a footprint of a skunk ape. And unfortunately, I didn't have any casting material because, like I said, we were just walking. But next time, maybe. I wish I could show you guys how many Sasquatches are actually on this tree, but I can't. You can only see the one. That's a good point. I've heard that our senses, like literally our light absorption, is only so much. It only perceives like 25% of the amount of light that's actually out there in the universe. And like our hearing, we only hear at a certain decibel. So it really limits us on what we can see and hear as humans, but we think we've got everything figured out. Um, I think there's a whole other world out there that we just don't know about. And that's, to me, that's scientific. That's not really far-fetched, or is it? It's not, hocus pocus. It's just, yeah, we'd probably be pretty terrified if we knew everything that we couldn't comprehend. Yeah, absolutely. I've kind of always been the kind of person that was always looking for the next answer. And when it comes to certain things, it's like a bottomless pit, like a well of questions, a lot of which go unanswered. Frequency, vibration, energy. I've heard this theory too. I mean, I've seen videos of supposed translucent creatures, and again, I don't subscribe to the um, portals and the third dimension type of explanations for these creatures, but then again, I also admit that I don't know everything. I'm just talking about what I believe. Um, I've also, I've heard that they are capable of mind control to the extent where, that would talk about the frequencies that you're referring to. Um, if that's the truth, I mean, it's terrifying, but you could be sort of hypnotized by a Sasquatch. You could be, your mind could be controlled, basically. To what extent, I don't know. But if they can control frequency, I mean, frequency is all around us, and look at some of the other examples out in the world of frequency. Humans might be at the top of the food chain for now because we've mastered weaponry, and we have an opposable thumb and that sort of thing. But um, that could be overcome really fast. Yeah, Nikolai Tesla, there was a number, right? There was a certain gigahertz of a frequency. I can't remember the number of it. But 3, 6, and 9. That's what he said. 3, 6. If you understand 3, 6, and 9, then you understand the frequency of life in the world around us. And I mean, that man, what a brilliant guy. I don't even pretend to understand, half of what he understood, but very fascinating dude. And I think he got a raw end of the stick, honestly, in his life. And I think that things would have been different for us if he had been able to continue without the interference of Rockefeller and sort of the powers that be that wanted his inventions squashed. I'm not sure if we'll ever know. Did you hear about the guy that invented the car that ran on water some years ago? I don't know, he had like a glass of cranberry juice and like came out of the house screaming that he had been poisoned and they got me and this and that. And he like fell over in his front yard dead from some sort of poisoning. Uh, you know, I don't know if it was arsenic or cyanide or what it was, but he claims that the powers that be had poisoned his juice, so his invention would never have reached the light of day. I think stuff like that happens all the time. Kid, what was it, 2020? The kid claimed to have found the cure for COVID. Like, it was only like 6 months after COVID came out, and they found him, and like he was a Princeton student. They found him dead, like shot to death in his apartment. All right, so again, if you go back to one of my episodes of the Ramblings of a Madman, I talk about the lack of Sasquatch bodies. There's so many things that come into play here. We don't know that Sasquatch don't bury their dead, first of all. So that right there kind of begs the question, well, that's why they're not just lying around. Then are Sasquatch subterranean creatures? That's why you believe they're interdimensional. Okay, well, maybe. But think about the subterranean being a different dimension. Think about the amount of cave systems in the world that are completely unexplored. I mean, they just found a whole other world in like Singapore, right? They just found like a cave that has its own ecosystem. So if there's these cave systems that Sasquatch live in, um, maybe that's where their bodies are. They just sort of, because no apex predator is going to be left out in the cold, out in the, to be exposed, to be eaten. Okay. So they hide themselves. Bears, lions, whatever they are, apex predators will hide themselves as they're dying. So Sasquatch is the apex predator of all time. And of course, they're not going to be just left at. And generally, I'm talking about when they're dying, when they know they're dying. If they are killed by another predator, well, then that's just the way it is. But if you ever watch these time-lapse videos of, say, like a deer or something that dies in the forest, if it's not eaten by, say, coyotes or wolves or some large predator, it will slowly be devoured by the surrounding area, bugs, just elements. The bones will be blown away and like carried off by small predators. So it doesn't last very long. And then, also, let's address the question, have we found Sasquatch bodies and they're just not widely known? I mean, if you want to get into the wormhole of government conspiracies and things like that, like there was bodies on Mount St. Helens that were just taken off by the droves, but we never saw them. They never made national media because they were stopped by the sort of MIBs that were involved, the military operations that took all the bodies off the mountain. So, and then if you go If you go to our Patreon, people claim to see them and they turn away, so let me eye contact and check again, and they're going. Yeah, yeah, I've heard that too. But if you, like I said, if you go to our Patreon, which is patreon.com / Bigfoot Input, we have a video about specifically about cryptid corpses. And we're actually going to make a second one here pretty soon. Some of the content that we make is not allowed for YouTube. And one of those things involves post-mortem. We can't do anything post-mortem on YouTube. Will be demonetized. So we have to shift it to a different platform, which is Patreon. So go check those videos out. I mean, they're pretty cool. They do have a lot of pictures of what are supposed cryptid corpses, Bigfoot corpses, that sort of thing. And as far as like Bigfoot vanishing in front of people's eyes, you know, man, honestly, they're so fast and like, you know, they're so stealthy. Like, look at lions in the bush. You don't know that they're there until they're on you. So as far as a creature just knowing its own environment and being able to vanish before your very eyes, well, I buy that, but not as a supernatural ability. Look at chameleons or like owls. A lot of bugs. These creatures just absolutely know how to blend into their environment. And I personally think that that's a more logical explanation for these encounters where Sasquatch just disappears in front of your eyes. But, you know, hey, again, I'm willing to listen to whatever theory and try to put some weight to it, although a lot of these theories are a little far-fetched. Like, you know, like Scott Carpenter. You know, I love that guy. I think he's got some valid stuff going on. But when he gets into his talk about portals and dimensions, man, he just loses me. Honestly, I try, and I get what you're saying. I mean, it does. It's an easy answer for certain things that happen in the Sasquatch world, but it's kind of like religion, you know. It's sometimes religion is an easy answer. The divinity is an easy answer instead of facing real life and looking at the facts that we have. It's easy to say that Sasquatch is this sort of miracle creature, this supernatural being, rather than just figuring out the science behind this flesh and blood creature. Yeah, I like that guy. I've seen a lot of his stuff. Actually, I used one of his pictures in one of our cryptid picture reaction videos you'll find on our channel. I don't know if you're on our channel. I don't believe I've ever seen you comment on there, but please join us if you're not. Subscribe and check out our videos. He's got some really interesting stuff, you know, and I know his stance on things, and it's hard to deny, you know. So yes, I have seen it. Good channel. That's seems. Yeah, I agree. I think he is the real deal. That's like what's the other guy? Mark from, I think, Sasquatch, Ontario. He's got some good stuff. Really good, gritty stuff. I like his channel. Great, man. We appreciate that. Thank you very much. use all the support we can get. It's a little fish in a big pond situation. We should be putting out some new videos tomorrow. I gotta take a 3-minute pause for the cause, alright? I'll be back momentarily. Yeah, I'd be interested to see that footage. I don't know. I see a lot of things that go on in the Sasquatch world and in the paranormal field, period. A lot of it is, what I would consider to be pareidolia. And a lot of it is just stuff that isn't really explainable, honestly. So you never know, you know. I mean, I dabble in anything paranormal, but um, Sasquatch really seems to be the big draw right now. I think because there's so many TV shows out in the world right now. The Alaskan Bigfoot, or Alaskan Killer Bigfoot or whatever. Plus the Finding Bigfoot, and I don't know. There's a bunch of shows out there that I don't watch, but I think that Sasquatch is becoming a growing topic. If anyone at YouTube is listening, this is non-copyrighted music. Are we talking about Sasquatches, or are you talking about orbs slash spirits slash ghosts, etc.? Hey, Cryptid Connor. Welcome. Yeah, I think you're right about the orbs. I've seen orbs actually move with purpose. Not many times, but I mean, I have honestly seen them personally myself. And I've seen videos where they move outside of like how a bug or dust would, I don't take a lot of, or I don't put a lot of weight into orbs, honestly. But I think there's probably something there somewhere. Our email is bigfootinput at gmail.com. We welcome any and all subscriptions, like any videos you want to send, any pictures. We'll take a look at them. If this takes off, if people enjoy this, we may end up doing a weekly thing, like a weekly Q&A. Maybe we'll do a Friday night thing. I don't know. Yeah, it's funny if you go far enough back, sometime in the early '80s, MacGyver did an episode of some guys that were doing some logging, and they faked a Sasquatch. They faked the Sasquatch thing to scare people off. And I think as a kid, that's what started my obsession with Bigfoot. It was such a fascinating topic, and it just kind of went from there. All right, Connor. So you have a Bigfoot in your woods. So this is your property. You have a Sasquatch that you've actually seen, laid eyes on. Seen him 2 times. Interesting. You care to share cryptically where you're located? I don't need a location specific, just state maybe, or something to that effect. And what did it look like? Was it like black or reddish brown? Or give us some juicy details, man. While Connor is gathering his thoughts, I'm going to suggest that we name him Old Sassfoot. You know, it's funny. I personally, I guess, as a Bigfoot believer, I don't really ever assume that people see a black bear and think, "Oh, that looks like a Sasquatch." I mean, a Sasquatch, you're talking about a big, you know, 8 to 10 foot creature with the cone-shaped head and a different shaped face, and it doesn't have a snout. And we've all seen a bear before. I mean, literally, there's probably not too many people in the world that haven't seen a bear of some species. And it's just an easily identifiable creature. But when you see something that you can't really identify, something that was part of the mythical, lore 5 minutes ago, and now it's just standing in front of you. I mean, that's got to be a real kick in the, So no, I wouldn't assume that it's a bear. If you say you saw a Sasquatch, you most likely saw a Sasquatch. I don't blame you, man. It's easy to say, like, oh, you should have got that, better picture, or you should have aimed your video, zoomed your video. People like to criticize all the time. But I'll tell you what, if I saw a Sasquatch outside of my house, I don't know if I'd stick around to get the video or not. I'd like to think I would, but in that moment, no, I don't think so. I've seen, I live in Central Florida, so we have black bears, and even they can get a little aggressive. But to see a a massive Sasquatch outside your house, man, that's got to be a trip. That's just what we were talking about. There's a lot of TV shows out right now that are focused around Sasquatch and Bigfoot. Now, I don't personally watch many of those shows. I think they're all contrived, but I think it's really building an audience and it's building an interest in the subject, which is it's a positive thing. And because you get a lot of people that are really new to the subject that just have no clue what's going on, you know. Arkansas, huh? Never been there. I hear it's beautiful country though. Where's the pool guy? You said your brother lives in Venice, Florida. I'm not entirely sure where that is, but it must be southeast somewhere, huh? So where are you? Illinois. Yeah, so there was some audio that came out a while back. Somebody claimed it was a Brahma bull, but I'll tell you what, it was really impressive audio. If that was a bull, something bad was happening to it. I mean, it was very angry. I I don't believe that. This is just south of Sarasota. Oh, I was wrong. It's on the west coast. Okay. Well, never been there. I hope to be heading down that way. For my birthday's on Christmas, so I'm hoping to go down to the Skunk Ape headquarters, which is down by Naples, Florida. I want to go down there. I want to meet Dave Shelley, the Skunk Ape King, and see what he has to say. I think that would be neat. Yeah, Gulf of Mexico. This is my tree. Merry Christmas, you guys. Fort Myers, boy, they got tore up by Ian. Just, ugh, that was terrible. I hope she's okay. It was bad. I was over here. I'm on the East Coast. I didn't get too much of Ian, and we were heading north up to West Virginia on vacation during the second tornado that I mean hurricane that just came through. So it kind of followed us up that way, just in the way of rain. You know, we got a lot of rain that followed us. Um, so nothing terrible to report there. We get off pretty easy, and we saw some of the videos coming out of Fort Myers and um, what is that? Pine Island, Boca Grande. Malacca. I bet they got hit really bad. Yeah, it's a shame. That was one of our favorite vacation spots. I don't know how they're doing down there, honestly. Um, I am still live streaming, so I can't check my email, but it is bigfootinput@gmail.com. So anything you'd like to add, please send it there. If we find it interesting enough, we may do some sort of breakdown on it and do a video, but we're open to look at all submissions. I think I said subscriptions earlier. Yeah, submissions. So, Cryptid Connor, are you interested in any other cryptids up there in Illinois other than Sasquatch? Thank you. I'll check those out. I want to turn the Sas. The Squatch is gay. Huh. I don't know about the water or the chemicals, but I would imagine that given the lack of available females, you might see some gay Sasquatches or even Sasquatch partaking in interspecies love events or sessions, rather. We can't release them on YouTube, but we do hope to get into some podcast style conversations about that very subject, about Sasquatch. Um, how can I put it delicately? Loving cows and various subjects that we just can't really breach on YouTube. Gayfoot, yeah. Maybe so, right? It could be a whole community of LBGTQ, LMNOP cryptids out there in the world. Who knows? Well, you know what they say about guys with big feet, right? They wear big shoes. You seem to have an obsession there, bud. I mean, I'm not judging or anything, you know. I'm just saying, to each their own. But you know, I often think I'm like, you know, like those lions who you're stupid Gen Z, yeah, maybe. Like those lions that get ousted from prides when there's like of a certain age, and they have to go off and find their own females and start their own pride. What if they can't? They can't find available females. I mean, they're all taken up by some other prides, you know. And then like, what do? You just die? I mean, you know, like, you know, you go off and find a boyfriend. I mean, um, I think it's your only either that or it's interspecies. But chances are, if you're a lion, you're eating you know, the other species. So, what choice do you have? Same deal with the Sasquatch. I mean, if you gotta break off from your mom and dad and sister, so yeah, I mean, if this is a real question, I do obviously. I think that there's Yeti, you know, and then there's Bigfoot, and there's like skunk ape and orang pendek and different ones, Yowie. Um, anyway, so it's more about the environment that they're raised in, that they grow up in. If you're a Yeti and you're born in the Himalayas or the Tibetan mountains, you know, you're obviously more aggressive because of a lack of food source. If you're a skunk ape, then you're probably more docile and more used to sort of living off the land, living in the marsh areas. So yeah, there are different species, but I think they're pretty much the same species. They're just different adaptations, if that makes sense. I don't really think it's a matter of evolution as much as it is just adaptation. Just like we have polar bears and black bears and, you know, grizzly bears, that sort of thing. Yeah, the Ohio grassman, I mean, that's really just a different name for the same species. Kind of like, well, I mean, bears are a great example. You know, honestly, I keep going back to that. But, you know, like if you find a creature in South Carolina versus a creature in Arizona, they're the same creature, but they have different adaptations. So the Ohio grassman, it's just a different name. You know, it's like the difference between Loch Ness Monster and Ogopogo, right? Same thing, same lore, just different area. Okay, so yeah, again, adaptation. I mean, let's say if you have a polar bear that his the fur is more translucent. It's because of where they were raised and where they've evolved. Or, you know, like a Florida black bear. they're they're not near as aggressive as other bears because they have a readily available food source, you know. And then you have, like, the grizzly bears, who are more aggressive, more territorial because of again, of a lack of food source. But it's not as extreme of a lack of food source as polar bears. So the adaptation is what causes these different behaviors in different creatures. It's kind of like how, we have different races of people. People have different skin color because they're from different regions. Well, you got to understand that Sasquatch are most likely migrating type creatures. They're moving from place to place. They're moving from cave system to cave system, exploring different cave systems, which we don't quite understand, honestly. As much as we've explored this country, we have not explored like 5% of the cave systems that exist. So, if they are leaving one area and popping up in another, they're looking for local food sources, they're going back down underground. It's very much of a covert operation, and I just don't think that we fully understand it. So, yeah, the fact that you're seeing a Bigfoot on your property right now does not mean that it was there 20, 30, 40 years ago. It just could have recently arrived there via land, via cave system, that sort of thing. So, not surprising at all. That is random. You did not fail to deliver. That is very random. What do you think of my Christmas tree? It has a Sasquatch on the top of it. In fact, there's probably about 5 or 6 Sasquatch on there that you can't see. I can't quite show you because of their elusivity. Okay, pool guy. Sorry, I don't know your real name. I did get some emails. I see them on there. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's see. What is your name, sir? Lemon's Cure. Okay, we've talked before online. Palm Beach County specifically, I don't know. I don't think so. Especially if I think Palm Beach County, you're there on the East Coast. You're going to get less of the activity. But if you kind of head more central, further west, Myakka State Park, in that area, and even south of there towards Naples, you're really getting a lot of activity down there. So I did a video on the Coyote Peterson thing, which you can find on the channel. Uh, so if you want to be really technical about it, he didn't fake anything. I think that he damaged his reputation by what he did do. He went on Instagram and Facebook and kind of, sort of, thank you. I appreciate that, Lemon's Cure. I love this tree, and I can't take full credit for it. But anyway, yeah, so Coyote Peterson, he did say in the video, if you go watch the video, he said, moving forward, what you're going to see is a scenario. So he kind of made this fake video, or, scenario of what would happen if you found a Bigfoot or primate skull in British Columbia, blah, blah, blah. And so he kind of said it right beforehand. But it was like just a 10-second thing. And if you missed it, then you missed it. So a lot of people are saying, oh, he's a fake, he's this, he's that. Well, I agree. I don't like what he did, but he did say right up front what it was he was doing. But if you look at his post on Facebook and on Instagram, it didn't say shit about that, and that's why people are angry. So I did a whole video about it about 3 months ago. Lemon's Cure, you're welcome. I don't, like I said, I don't know of any major skunk ape activity in your area in Palm Beach. I think that's a little too populated. No, like I said, it's more central. Connor, honestly, I think he did what he did on purpose. I think that he slipped one by a lot of people. There was people that caught what he did, and there was people that, they just thought, well, I'm going to listen to this. He has like 5 million followers. And that's a lot, to mislead all those people like that. It was a bold move. I don't agree with it. I don't think it was a good idea. I think it damaged his reputation pretty badly. I don't care to see anything else he has to say, but, I was one of those people that fell for it. As soon as everyone saw the post hitting Facebook and stuff, we're like, holy shit, this is, when we thought they had found it. They thought they found a primate skull in British Columbia. And, we were all ears. And I was one of those people. And so, yeah, it angered me. It, really aggravated me. Yeah, well, balls is one way to put it. I'm not sure what he thought he was going to accomplish doing that. And then after he had got called out by everybody, he kind of doubled down by saying, like, oh, yeah, we're going to submit this for DNA. But he knew goddamn well he wasn't going to submit it for DNA because he knew it was fake. It was just I can't call it a prank or a fake. He filmed a movie. He filmed a show. It was a scenario. It wasn't fake. It was entertainment. And he told everybody in the video, this is entertainment. So, yeah, but you really had to listen to catch it. Hello, Brown Dwarf. Welcome. Well, I don't think he buried it for any limited amount of time. I think he pretty much shoved it in the mud and then retrieved it immediately, just to have it be part of his little show. But I think what pissed me off and a lot of other people was that he continued. Well, thank you, man. Brown Dwarf, I appreciate that. I appreciate you watching. I don't recall your name. I don't see you in any of the comments, but I do appreciate the fact that you've been watching. So, thank you very much. We're talking about Coyote Peterson, by the way. I think what really made a lot of people mad was that he continued the prank to the extent where he said, we're gonna have, I'm smuggling it through customs, and once it's in a safe place now, and I'm gonna have it DNA tested. That kind of shit right there. He really took it too far, and I don't know whose idea it was, that who talked him into it, or if it was his idea, but it wasn't good. You don't we're the Bigfoot community is kind of a strong community. Yeah, his hoax, definitely. The Bigfoot community is a strong community. You don't just mess with things like that. We're going to call you on it. We're going to find out what you did. We're going to figure it out, and we're going to call you on it. And I think he got called in a big way. I mean, even Dr. Meldrum was involved. It was, that's kind of like going to the top of the line, and yeah, he wanted to steal some viewers, and I think he did. He went from like 3 million viewers to 5 million viewers in a very short amount of time. Do you think so? The mandible, isn't that like the first thing to be carried away by predators, or like miniature predators? It's like that jawbone seems to be the first thing they grab and just rip away and take it away. And I'm guessing they're going for like marrow that's inside the bones, to eat it. There's got to be a reason they steal bones, and I think they are still a form of nutrition. Well, I think that's fair to say that I am a Bigfooter. Yes, sir. Um, I am a believer. I've never physically encountered a Bigfoot. Um, I have come across some prints, and I've been barked at. Um, I've had some sort of near experiences. So yes, I am definitely a Bigfoot, but I'm an objective Bigfooter, and there's a difference there. A lot of the Bigfooters, they seem to Florida, Central Florida. A lot of Bigfooters, they seem to just believe that every single picture of a tree stump is a Bigfoot, and that sort of thing. And I don't. I believe in pareidolia, and I believe that we should look at this thing objectively. I appreciate you guys joining me tonight. If this becomes a thing, we might try to do this every week. Maybe do like a Friday night Q&A. It's been interesting. Nobody has talked about my Uncle Eddie, though. Yeah, we do have a lot of active stuff going on in Florida right now. I mean, the Ocala National Forest is hot right now. Um, I, Kathy Westerman, her group, Aim to Frame, they have a lot of good stuff coming out of the Ocala National Forest right now, right near where I live, honestly. Um, You have the stuff in the Myakka like state park going on. Plus, you have some of the stuff from the Panhandle coming back. I mean, it's just, yeah, you're right. A lot of good stuff going. A lot of good research. If you guys haven't heard of this guy, Florida Bigfoot, buddy of mine, he has an active relationship with a family of Sasquatch that, or skunk apes rather, that he talks to and sort of deals with on a daily basis. His stuff is really revolutionary. He has a YouTube and a Facebook. Go check his stuff out. You'll love it. It's really good stuff. So, interesting question there, Connor, like pareidolia. I had actually questioned recently whether pareidolia existed. Sorry about that. Existed at all. Turn this music down. Um, I thought to myself, I'm like, if pareidolia isn't a real thing, then that means that everything that you see is real, right? And that's confusing. Like that messes with you. You know, it's like so pareidolia is supposed to be a trait that's left over from our Neanderthal stage, where we could recognize faces in the bush to avoid ambush. But if it's not a thing at all, then all these faces we're seeing are something. No kidding. So you're right there in what, Willow Creek area, huh? That's cool. I've seen some other footage that have come out of Willow Creek. I have some footage that have come out of there since back in the day. You know, 1967, they were doing a lot of logging in that area. And so the landscape looked a lot different than it looks now. And I've seen the current landscape, and it is, man, it's nuts. It's huge, huge differences. But I mean, you're talking, 50 years. I mean, so Connor, to answer your question, like, I get dogged on a lot because I don't dive into the subject of Dogman, and I don't dive in because I don't know if I'm on the fence on that subject. I don't know where I sit. I think that probably chupacabra, I think, is definitely a thing, which is probably just some sort of dog species. I think the Loch Ness is definitely a thing. Loch Ness, Champ, Tessie, Ogopogo. I think there's at least one or two of those floating around somewhere. Wherever there's a body of water, there's something in there that you don't know about, you know? As far as the rake goes, I tend to think that you have to be careful when you talk about cryptids. I think that there are such a thing as mole men, and that could be as simple as humans that have been abandoned in cave systems and have adapted to using echolocation. And not using eyesight as much, and then you end up with this sort of rake monster, which is really just a human. I just think you have to be careful differentiating between cryptids and just things that go on that you don't know about. So, and I got a lot of flack for this last time I said this, but it's true. I had a picture of a rake, and I said, "Sears on YouTube, documents, yeah." So I said that, what if at some point some humans decided that they couldn't raise their kids, they couldn't afford to feed them, they just couldn't do it, and they just dropped them off in a cave, thinking that they would die. And these children grew to, exist in these cave systems. and they would breed with each other. Like, I mean, honestly, a lot like the movie Descent. I don't know if you ever saw The Descent. If you haven't, you should. It's terrifying, but it's a great movie. Um, so yeah, these people would just sort of exist there. Um, Survivor Man, Les Stroud, which is one of my favorite guys. I love that dude. He's very cool. He did an episode in Kentucky. He had a series called Survivor Man Bigfoot. One of the episodes was done in Kentucky where Scott Carpenter helped him in the episode. Very good episode, very good show. They had some vocals that came from two different creatures. Same time, they were yelling at each other. They said that there was a dialect, but it wasn't English. That these two creatures were just yelling at each other. And listening to that clip, I can't post it on YouTube because I'll get nailed for copyright. But if you listen to the audio, it's very obviously two human beings that are speaking a language that you and I don't speak. It wasn't Sasquatch. These were people. And they talk about the Kentucky Wild Man. So these were obviously, to me, feral humans. No, not really. We were just talking about that earlier. I think before I was talking to the pool guy about that before you came in. I don't think that Sasquatch have supernatural abilities. I think that they are a flesh and blood creature. Now, that being said, there's a lot of stories out there that will counter what I just said. You lived in Willow Creek? That's wild. I mean, I know it doesn't matter now, because the terrain has changed so much, but just to be able to say that you stood in the area where Patty was filmed, I mean, I don't know, that's cool. I guess that's kind of, for me, I know that's where it started it all, even though it's not. I know that's been gone back like 100 years. Shit, even more than that. I'm sorry. I misspoke. Um, I mean, back to Leif Erikson, stuff like that. I mean, they talked about the hairy creatures, but there's something about Patty that sort of. What's up? Take on? What's up, man? There's something about Patty that sort of captivates everyone, I don't know. I guess it was just the first honest, real footage that we had of Sasquatch. World Bigfoot Radio. I will check that out. I will. I want to say that someone else has recommended that to me. Johnny Half. I appreciate that, man. Merry Christmas to you. We're showing off our tree tonight. We got some Sasquatch up there. There's a lot of Sasquatch on this tree that I'm not showing, mainly because of all the bright lights, but there's probably about 5 or 6 Sasquatch on there. Plus, we got Cousin Eddie over there. We're getting ready for the holiday season. It's also my birthday month, so we're Just chilling out tonight. Thanks for joining us. World Savage Radio. I'm gonna go look that up as soon as I get out of here. Actually, you know what? Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Yes, you should, Connor. Yeah, so Brown Dwarf, the Tennessee situation. So I talked to the guy after the last video, and he told me, he said, "Look, man," he said, that that costume that everyone's showing a picture of, he said that was my 11-year-old son in his Halloween costume. He said the arms are made out of paper towel tubes. He said they don't move. He said they're posable, but they don't move. And he said, honestly, he said, you know what, man? He goes, I'm actually glad. He goes, I would rather avoid the attention that all this has brought. He's a very sick man, unfortunately. He has I won't mention what he has, but he has a disease that is, well, I don't know that he's terminal, but he's pretty bad off. So he said that he was actually glad that the attention might die down. Well, then shortly after that, his wife had messaged. Actually, no, she didn't message. She commented on our Facebook telling us about the costume and about how it was for her 11-year-old son, and they would never put him up to this, and the arms don't move, and it's ridiculous that everyone found this picture and made this connection. So I was kind of on one side of the fence with it, but honestly, after talking to these folks for a while, I find it hard to be on either side of the fence on whether that's accurate or not. But I think I find myself leaning towards it's possibly real, you know? So she has a good point. I mean, both of them said, they're like, the arms on this costume don't move. So they're like, the fact that people think that this costume is what's, you saw the video. If the arms don't move on that costume, then they don't move. This stream in particular, Connor, probably not too much longer. I've been up for an hour and a half now on this stream. I would imagine that I will be calling it quits here in a while, but we might make an ongoing thing of this. Yeah, I do. Why does that sound familiar? I think they are subscribers of ours, but I think that I was following them long before I had a YouTube, so. Alright guys, I'm going to take a pause for the cause here. I'll be back in just a moment. Yeah, brown dwarf. I think that's where I know that name from. Bigfoot Anon. I've checked him out before. There's quite a few Bigfoot channels from Florida though, and we're all kind of hooked up with each other. So, for the most part, I think we know each other. Cryptic Connor, I'll have to check out your YouTube channel. I didn't know you had one. Beats. Yeah, so honestly, I've seen most of MK Davis's videos. A lot of them are really interesting. He does some good work. I like him and Bigfoot Tony, but I still think Thinker Thunker is the man, honestly. I just, if I had the equipment or the programs that he has, man, he has some really good stuff uh, that you can't argue with. Yeah, Beats, I just got through watching that video because we actually just got through vacationing in West Virginia. And I watched that Bob Gimlin video recently, and man, it was totally interesting. I was thinking about doing my own video on that after watching his. That's a pretty cool picture. I think what's cool about that picture is that it talks about the husband, the Marine, who assumed that most encounters with Bigfoot were all misidentified wildlife. So basically, they're all bears, you know? And then after he saw it himself, he had no choice but to sort of admit that it was a Sasquatch. Yeah, one of the most impressive videos that we've ever seen of a Sasquatch doesn't really show a Sasquatch at all. And it is Thinker Thunker's breakdown of the log throwing creature in Canada. And just the fact that he can break down the fact that this creature is throwing these big logs, and he gives you all the math, and it's very impressive to watch. He doesn't leave much room for doubt when it comes to, like, what is this creature. Huh. All right, yeah, I will check those out. I will. I've never heard of the deer getting drowned. Obviously, I've seen the framing footage before, but all right, guys. I'm gonna call it a night. That's it for me. And like I said, if you guys enjoyed this, we'll try to do it like every week. All right. As for now, it's J Mac out.